Moscaritolo, a reporter at SC Magazine. Today I'm here with J.R. Smith, CEO of AVG, and we're talking about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So, hi, how are you?
Hi, good.
Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So, kind of give us an overview of what Cybersecurity Awareness Month is and what the goals are. And it starts this October, is that right?
Yeah, it starts today actually.
Yep.
The Cybersecurity Awareness Month has been around for about 7 years, and I think it's been a great opportunity for government to work with the private sector to help drive awareness around cybersecurity, both in the public and the private sector. I think some of the things that they're going to be trying to address this year are around, moving away from just simple awareness into action. How do you educate consumers and small businesses and big companies so that they actually take a role and they feel obligated or obliged to look after their own security. I think that the enterprise segment of the market has done a great job of that. But I think if you move down into small businesses and into consumers, I think there's a whole bunch of work that we still need to do to educate and to incentivize those to be part of the solution by protecting themselves.
So the small businesses and the consumers are really the weakest link in the chain.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that when you look at what we see every day, being an antivirus company and an internet security company, we see an awful lot of activity in the small business and the consumer space. What you're finding is as enterprises get more and more secure and sophisticated about how they protect their environments, then it's a lot easier for criminals to go after small businesses who don't know as much, they're not as educated, they're not as worried about it, they're trying to run their day-to-day business. And then consumers who lots of times feel that banks and their companies and the government is going to play a pretty big role in protecting them, when in reality they could be helping themselves an awful lot more.
So if this is mostly a consumer problem, why should enterprises care about Cybersecurity Awareness Month?
I think that the enterprise has a pretty big role to play. If you look at how they can impact their employees through all the various touch points that they have, and how they could incentivize employees to be protected at home. A lot of people do work from home. There's a lot more remote workforces out there, and so there's a vaster or more vast opportunity for people to work from home and bring things in on a USB stick or email themselves something to their work address, so that that could have an impact on the internal network of the company, but also too that can have an impact on the individual. So if they're infected, they're going to be spreading it to their friends, their family, to people they socialize with online. And so I think that the major enterprises, whether it be the bank or your employer or the government, can do a lot better and do a lot more things to incentivize. So maybe your employer could give you, pay for half of your security software, or they could just give it to you. At AVG, we give away a product that's absolutely free, excuse me, that's every bit as good as every paid product on the market. So, is there an opportunity for employers to incentivize their employees to be protected? Another way they could do it is just not allow access to the office network unless from home, unless you've got security.
Anything else? Should they be rolling out campaigns for cybersecurity within their organizations for this month?
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think that since it is Cybersecurity Month, that'd be a great thing to do. Also, you could, as part of their employment charter, just have certain regulations and guidelines that say, hey, as an employee of company ABC, I'll follow the following procedures when jumping online, either from home or in the office, etc. Just to keep that awareness front and center.
Right, and this is also important to enterprises because a lot of times they take the fall. Is that right? For banks?
Yeah, I think they do. Today there's a bit of a false sense of security for both small businesses and more so consumers that, so if I'm online and someone steals my identity and they go in and they transfer money out of my bank account, 99 times out of 100 the bank's actually going to reimburse you for that loss. And so that puts an unfair burden on the bank. But it also encourages cyber criminals because they know that there's targets there, so they know they can be successful. So if we can stop that, then for instance, we were talking about the Zeus virus. All those victims who had their bank accounts rated could have stopped that. You know, if someone would not have been able to hijack their browser if they'd had security software on their laptop or their desk.
So do you think that it should be pushed back to where enterprises won't have to take the fall anymore and push that back to consumers, and that might incentivize the consumers to get more secure?
Yeah, I think it could. I think that cybersecurity should sit more squarely on the end user. To, you know, they should step up and take a lot more responsibility. So in essence, they're no longer part of the problem. And I think that banks are under a huge financial burden. I mean, it's billions of dollars, and there's lots of types of fraud they have to deal with. This is just one of those. So if we could take some of that burden off, you know, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of the banks are kind of at that tipping point where, you know, this is getting really expensive, and how do I, aside from, you know, securing my internal network and also, you know, actively pushing out security software to my user base, which a lot of banks do, you know, how do I get them to really react and respond and take responsibility? And part of that could be by saying, you know, if you've not got the proper security measures on your computer and you're not following the right procedures, then, you know, we can't be held accountable for that, and actually we may not reimburse you. You know, I think that would make a lot of people stand up and say, all right, you know, I really need to take personal responsibility.
Right. Well, it sounds like there's a lot that enterprises can do to get involved with Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Absolutely.
Thanks for going over some of these things.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thanks to you for watching. Have a great day.